Hey, I'm Tim Hollingsworth. Today we're going to be making smoked prime rib with Dijon mustard and Herbs De Provence. All right, so we have this beautiful prime rib. Looking great. We're going to take it off of our rack here for a second. Trim up any pieces. Prime rib has a decent amount of fat on there, but smoking it in the Traeger for so long, the fat's going to break down. It's going to be really, really nice. We do have a little bit of a chunk right here I'll take off. So I'll clean that up just a little bit. So our first step is going to be to season it. We'll season it with salt and pepper. We'll put a decent amount of salt on there. Just put a little bit of oil just to help make it stick. All right, still more salt here. Making sure to get all the different sides. Same thing with our pepper. Our pepper's coarse ground. I like to bite into a little bit of pepper when I'm eating my steaks, so this will be really, really nice. All right, next step is we're going to be rubbing it with Dijon mustard. We're going to put a liberal amount of Dijon mustard on there. You can glove up if you want. I'm just going to use my hands. All right, nice even layer here. More, spreading it out nice and evenly. We're going to be putting our Herbs de Provence. We'll sprinkle that liberally over the top of it. Nice even layer. Not too heavy. A little bit more. And this is going to sit on there for overnight. So you can do it overnight or 24 hours. What you want it to do is you want it to develop a nice crust over the top of it. We have our beautifully crusted prime rib that's going to sit in the refrigerator overnight, and we're going to throw it on the Traeger tomorrow. All right, we have our beautiful prime rib straight out of the refrigerator. We're going to turn it on to about 325 degrees and smoke it for roughly 3.5 hours. Beautiful. All right, so our timer just went off. It's 110 degrees internal temperature, 325 throughout the entirety of the cooking process. Now we're going to take it out. We're going to let it continue to rest. As it rests, it's going to continue to cook a little bit because it's such a large piece of meat. So it's going to go up in temperature a little bit, and then it'll go back down to rest, and the meat will relax. We'll be able to slice it and hit a nice medium rare. All right, this prime rib is smelling fantastic. It's been resting for about an hour now. It's very important to rest that meat. If you don't rest the meat, what's going to happen is all of the juices from the meat are going to run out. When you're cooking at a high temperature, the meat kind of tenses up a little bit, and you want it to sort of relax and hold the juices. Otherwise, they will run out pretty big. So we have a couple different ways that we can carve this up here. We can either leave the bone in and slice it alongside the bones, or we can take the bones out. For prime rib, I like taking the bones off. So we'll go ahead and slice along the bones. Trying to get as close to the bones as possible, but at the end of the day, somebody's going to take those ribs and eat them up anyway, so any meat left on there will be eaten. All right. Beautiful rack. We'll start to slice it up and see how we did. So this is our leaner end, which is going to be a little bit more cooked than the opposite end, typically when you're cooking like this. But we hit a nice medium rare. As the meat relaxes a little bit more, the juices will come back into it. Has a nice crunchy crust. You can hear that from that mustard and Dijon and Herbs De Provence. All right, now we'll carve up these ribs. It's one of my favorite parts right here. It has extra fat on it. So if you're like me and you like that fat, that ribeye fat, you're definitely gonna want to try a rib. It's delicious. There you have it, our prime rib that's been rubbed in Dijon mustard and Herbs De Provence. For recipes like this and more recipes, please visit TraegerGrills.com/recipes or download the Traeger app.